Victory is what Porsche achieved when they created the Porsche 911. In the words of Ferdinand Porsche, if you can create something time cannot erode, something which ignores the eccentricities of particular eras or moments, something truly timeless, this is ultimate victory. Now, I'm pretty sure all of you guys would be familiar with the car brand Porsche, but you might not be familiar with what makes a Porsche 911 so good. Now, I've done extensive research for my own automotive consulting business, and as someone who also drives a Porsche, I'm going to inform you today on what makes the Porsche 911 the embodiment of a sports car. Now, today I'm going to go in depth on what makes the Porsche 911 the embodiment of a sports car, specifically talking about the rear engine layout of the car, the power to weight ratio of the car, and the flat six engine specifically used by Porsche in these cars. Now first, let's talk about the rear engine layout of the car, which gives it superior handling, braking, and acceleration. Now, according to professional race car driver Scott Mansell, when you're turning in a car, you want to carry the most speed into the turn, and you want to be able to accelerate hardest when you're racing out of the turn. Now, the rear engine in this car allows the Porsche 911 to do exactly that. The rear engine layout allows the car not to have understeer which causes the car to not steer enough and go straight, and that enables the car to carry speed throughout the turn. And the car also has minimal oversteer because of the rear engine layout, which causes the car to stay on the intended path and accelerate hard out of the turn. Now, the rear engine layout also helps the car with better traction because there's more weight in the rear of the car. And most sports cars are rear-wheel drive, which means that the rear wheels drive the car forward. Now, if you accelerate hard in a rear-wheel drive car, traditionally the rear wheels will spin before you start going because there's more power than there is traction. But the weight being in the rear helps the car with more traction, so you're able to accelerate harder. And that gain of traction also helps with the handling because it helps the car turn more precisely without getting any understeer with loss of traction. Now that we've talked about the rear engine layout of the car, I'm going to tell you about the power to weight ratio that helps this car as well become the embodiment of a sports car. Now, the Porsche 911 was engineered to have an impressive power to weight ratio compared to other cars. Porsche 911 comes with many engine options, and paired with that lightweight chassis comprised of aluminum and carbon fiber, it creates an impressive balance between the power and the weight. For instance, according to Porsche USA, the Porsche 911 Carrera S, the current base model, has about a power output of 450 horsepower with a curb weight of 3,300 pounds, making the power to weight ratio an impressive 6.6 pounds per horsepower. Now, the more extreme version of the car, the 911 GT3, pushes that ratio even further with an increase in horsepower to 500 and a decrease in weight, creating the power to weight ratio to be only 5 pounds per horsepower. Now, according to a study done by Roshiraj Kagde, the power to weight ratio is one of the key parameters when it comes to the performance of a sports car. The lower the power to weight ratio, the higher the performance. Now, most cars with a low power to weight ratio often have a higher amount of power, closer to 700 figures. But the Porsche 911 doesn't need to boast great power to get a good power to weight ratio, which means that the handling and performance of the car will be better with lower horsepower because you would end up with less wheel spin. Now that we've talked about the power to weight ratio of the car, let's talk about the traditional engine that Porsche uses, the flat six layout engine. So, the flat six engine traditionally used by Porsche provides the car with superior stability, balance, and smoothness. In a flat six engine, there's 6 cylinders placed in 2 banks horizontally facing each other, compared to normal engines, which would be in a V configuration or an inline configuration where they'd be facing straight. But because of the horizontal layout, the car has a lower center of gravity compared to other engines, which helps with the stability and the handling of the car. The horizontal configuration also helps with less engine vibrations, a smoother ride, providing more comfort to passengers. And the configuration also provides balance within the engine, which creates precise throttle response, linear power, and enhanced control, because you're able to control the throttle more carefully while being in turns or driving the car. Now let's go over my main points. So in summary, I talked to you about what makes the Porsche 911 the embodiment of a sports car. The main things that make the Porsche 911 the embodiment of a sports car is its rear engine layout, its great power to weight ratio, and its flat 6 engine layout. And because of the Porsche 911 being engineered like that, it becomes the embodiment of a sports car. Ferdinand Porsche wanted to achieve ultimate victory when he created this car, and I would say he did. Thank you.